they concocted what they felt would be kind of the final ultimatum that would be delivered to Hamas by regional mediators from Egypt and Qatar, saying, this is your last chance to make a ceasefire deal. You saw the kind of power that we unleashed in Iran. Now is your time to do it. There's been a lot of reporting over the past couple of days in the Hebrew language press, the Arabic language press, including as well as in the American press, about what the terms of this proposal being put in front of Hamas are. I'm told, though, by sources on the negotiating team that despite this flurry of media reports about what the terms are, Hamas was not actually given any document until late last night. In fact, they haven't really been able to do full consultations within Hamas or the other resistance factions. I've spoken this morning to a source who's close to the negotiators that actually has that document in hand. And in general, what I would say is this. It is almost identical in most ways to the previous ultimatum that Steve Witkoff, Trump's special envoy, delivered back in May. It does not contain any clear guarantees that Israel will not resume the military assault on Gaza after an initial 60-day period. It has very vague language about how humanitarian aid is going to come into Gaza. It doesn't say anything about the fate of the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, this aid scam where Palestinians are being gunned down every day. It does mention that the United Nations and the Red Crescent are again going to be involved with the distribution of aid, but there aren't any clear definitions. Perhaps the two most significant changes or amendments, I guess, that you could say in some way inch the position more toward what Hamas wanted is that they've sharpened some of the language about President Donald Trump. There's 13 points in this agreement. In point 1 and point 13, Trump is mentioned by name. And what they're saying is that Trump is committed to an actual end to the war. And as long as negotiations are conducted in good faith, that he wants to see this 2-month window of a temporary truce continue on toward a resolution of the war. Hamas, though, had wanted much clearer language, and they wanted Trump to guarantee that he would prevent Israel from resuming its military assault on Gaza as long as the negotiations were continuing. That language is not in this document. On a technical level, the most significant change is that the Israelis back in May wanted to have 10 living captives, Israelis held in Gaza, released within the first week of any ceasefire deal, 60-day deal. Hamas looked at that and said, then it's just going to be a one-week deal because after the Israelis are freed, Netanyahu's just going to resume the genocide. So it's not a huge change, but what we're looking at now is a formula that says 8 Israelis would be released within that first week. I believe it's on day 5. And then the other 2 living Israelis would be released on day 50. You would also have the bodies of 18 Israelis who are deceased but still in captivity in Gaza staggered out over the course of those 2 months. What is not mentioned in the document is how many of the more than 10,000 Palestinians held in detention camps and prisons in Israel are going to be released. That's unusual. In other agreements, there has been some formula cited for how many Palestinian captives are going to be released. The language on this is very vague.